Lesson 15, Pharmaceutical Terms, Acronyms, and Associations. A lot of these terms and details we've gone over in context in earlier lessons, but I wanted to give a summary of all these terms again just so you understand what they are, and also some of them may be new. So the pharma industry is an incredibly unique industry. Other industries may share terms and processes. Pharma does not, as you've seen how unique pharma is compared to sales and commercial operations with other industries like finance or manufacturing. Pharma is the most regulated industry in the US and the world. There are so many different governmental agencies that regulate various parts of the pharma industry. There are many associations that gather details about their members, their membership, and this information is often used in pharma sales data. So let's get started on the terms now. Alignment. Alignment is a method in which pharma companies divide customers up amongst the sales associates. Usually this is done by compiling the list of all healthcare providers within zip codes and trying to evenly distribute them. And that, of course, would be based upon specialty and other criteria as well. Dividing the country into different areas is usually done through a zip code to territory alignment process. And sales associates' territories are often non-contiguous. The American Association of Medical Colleges, AAMC. The organization represents all the medical schools, teaching hospitals, and scientific societies in the country. It administers the Medical College Admissions Test, the MCAT. It collects data and publishes metrics detailing medical education, enrollment, salaries, physician specialties, healthcare, MCAT and GPA scoring, medical school admission requirements, etc. The organization also maintains school codes that are used by the American Medical Association and other groups. The school codes are just unique IDs for all the medical schools in the country. The American Medical Association. It's the largest association and lobbying group for physicians in the United States. It includes HCPs and students, medical doctors, and doctors of osteopathic medicine. The AMA issues members a medical education number, an ME number, a unique ID. ME numbers are issued when student enrolls in medical school. ME numbers can remain unchanged throughout a physician's career. Healthcare providers who are members of the AMA can register as do not contact, which eliminates the correspondences they receive from the AMA and also from pharma companies. It's an opt-out list. HCPs can also register for the Physician Data Restriction Program, PDRP, which limits sales associates from seeing their prescribing data. Black box warning. This warning is placed on the packaging of the medication, alerting the user of serious side effects. Sometimes when a product is black boxed, it is pulled for distribution by the pharma company that manufactures it. That's because it's so severe, the warning. This usually occurs when a serious side effect was not previously discovered in clinical trials. Pulling a product from distribution is based on many criteria. As an example, a product that is approved for use by children will usually have a lower threshold to be pulled from the shelves than a product that is used by adults. Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. It's a U.S. government agency that oversees the Medicare program. It assists state governments with the administration of the Medicaid program. It collects and compiles data having to do with healthcare providers and healthcare organizations. It oversees private insurance, and it publishes research and grant payments made to HCPs and HCOs by pharma company through the openpayments.cms.gov portal. And we're going to have a whole lesson on going through open payments later on. Class of trade, COT. Class of trade determines how a product is classified for government contracting. Group purchasing organizations, GPOs, and wholesalers need to follow class of trade guidelines and rules to purchase the product. Manufacturers rely on the Drug Enforcement Administration number, DEA, Health Industry number, HIN, and or National Provider Identifier, NPI, to determine the class of trade for an account. There are dozens of COT customer types. Some are listed below: hospital clinic, a nursing home, a pharmacy, a wholesaler, etc. Commercial operations, the department that oversees sales, marketing, advertising, and promotion of company products. The functions include launch and pre-launch planning, alignment, targeting call plans, incentives, customer relationship management, CRM, calls, details, and sample data collection, sales reporting. Some pharma companies include the medical affairs team as part of commercial ops, but they serve different functions. Contract sales organizations, CSOs. Most pharma companies directly hire individuals and train them to be sales associates. They become FTEs, full-time employees. Sometimes it is less expensive and easier to hire a third-party company to assist you with selling your product. These third-party associates act as subcontractors to promote products for the pharma companies. Usually CSOs are used for a limited amount of time for specific reasons, such as product launch or if your product is coming off patent protection. The Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, it's a cabinet-level organization within the executive branch of the federal government. Its mission is to enhance the health and well-being of all Americans. It helps providers by issuing grants, contracts, and support. It ensures that patient privacy is protected through the Healthcare Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, otherwise known as HIPAA. Drug Enforcement Administration, the DEA. It's a law enforcement agency that is part of the Department of Justice. It enforces laws and regulations pertaining to controlled substances. In regards to the pharma industry, the DEA ensures that individuals and organizations are abiding by the law regarding how they are handling drugs. Anyone who prescribes, distributes, or handles controlled substances must apply for a DEA registration number. The DEA number is what allows healthcare providers to write prescriptions. The DEA number is also used to track all prescriptions. Group Purchasing Organization, GPO. This is a collection of entities that band together to get better pricing on pharma company products. Small hospitals and nursing homes can see a significant savings by joining together and purchasing larger quantities. The Healthcare Supply Chain Association, HSCA, was founded to help these small organizations work together and save. This usually turns out to be a win for both the pharma company and the GPO because the GPO can purchase more and smaller members have more buying power because they're grouping with larger members, and the pharma company therefore can sell to more customers. Healthcare organization. An HCO is a facility, hospital, or association where individuals gather to see patients, conduct research, and/or administer care. HCOs can range in size from a few individuals to thousands of employees. Examples are a private practice, medical centers, teaching hospitals, VA facilities, and the Center for Disease Control. HCOs are often affiliated to one another, meaning they share the same parent company or governing body. Healthcare provider, HCP. Most organizations define HCPs as any individual that works within the healthcare industry. While the work that office administrators and support staff do is very important, they are really not HCPs. For the purpose of Pharma Sales Data, an HCP is anyone who has the legal authority to write a prescription. HCPs are tracked based upon their RXs. HCPs that cannot write are usually classified as non-writers or non-prescribers, or not stored as HCPs in pharma company data at all. Health Industry Business Communications Council, HIBCC. It's a nonprofit council established for the standardization of data transfer between organizations. It established the Health Industry Number, HIN, to differentiate between member organizations. The HIN is often used as one of the identifiers in pharma sales data. Health Industry Number, a registration system administered by the Health Industry Business Communications Council, HIBCC, that we just discussed. It's focused on collecting data and information on organizations within the supply chain. Organizations can apply for an HIN through the HIBCC. It's mainly focused on making communications and data exchanges easier between trading partners, and the HIN is often used as one of the many identifiers in pharma sales data. Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, HIPAA. It's a federal statute enacted in 1996. It covers many topics including healthcare access, healthcare fraud, and healthcare data. Healthcare privacy is the main focus that impacts pharma sales data. All patient health information, PHI, must remain private and be de-identified. De-identification is the process of removing key elements from a patient record so that that patient cannot be determined or located. There are 18 attributes that need to be de-identified, and we'll go over those later on in our patient lesson. Healthcare Supply Chain Association, HSCA. It's the nation's leading healthcare GPO. It helps member partners reduce costs by working together to acquire pharmaceuticals. And the main focus of the organization, like any GPO, is to reduce cost, increase competition, support transparency, and improve healthcare processes. Incentives. The pharma department that is responsible for coming up with the programs and structures for sales associate compensation. The team will devise a compensation structure to drive the sales of a product through cash payments, awards, and/or promotions. Incentives teams will run special contests to increase product sales through sales associate competition. Other contests will focus on hitting a specific metric target, and the contest types we previously went over were volume growth, share growth, competition busters, and then launch or patent end contests. Key opinion leaders, KOLs, they're healthcare providers that help drive the positive message about your brand. They will often be keynote speakers at your events, and KOLs go by other names as well, including super targets, influencers, brand ambassadors, and brand advocates. Key performance indicators, KPIs. These are metrics used to determine the level of success of your employees. KPIs will vary from industry to industry. For pharma sales associates, KPIs are leading indicators to determine how well an associate will do during an incentive period. If certain metrics are not trending toward goal within the first month of a 4-month cycle, the manager will step in to correct the issue. And an example of some KPIs that may trigger a need for intervention: if you have low reach, that means you're not calling on enough different HCPs. If you have low or high frequency, that may mean you're calling on the same HCP not enough times or too many times. And if you have a low calls per day, it means you're not going out there and doing your job. You're not calling on enough HCPs during your cycle. Managed Care Organization, MCOs. It's a group of entities, doctors and hospitals, that join together and try to reduce healthcare costs. MCOs are often referred to as health plans. Individuals will pick the plan that they want within the MCO. There are many managed care plans, including a health maintenance organization, an HMO, a preferred provider organization, a PPO, a point of service plan, POS, and an exclusive provider organization, EPO. The key takeaway between MCOs and the pharma sales data is that prescription data can be grouped under various payers and plans. Master Data Management, MDM. This is an IT process that used by pharma companies to bring data together from various sources and master it. A pharma company may get data from 10 different vendors detailing all of the healthcare provider and healthcare organizations in the US, but many times the attributes of those profiles are different. For example, they could have different email addresses, different calling locations, the names may be spelled differently. An MDM solution takes all of those single and duplicate profiles and produces a golden record. That golden record is the standard the company uses for all the individual attributes: name, address, date of birth, etc. These mastered HCP and HCO profiles are what are used to link the prescription data back to the entities. Medical Affairs, a team of professionals that explains the scientific benefits of a drug to healthcare providers. The team focuses on educating the HCPs in an unbiased way. Education of the HCPs begins just before the completion of clinical trials of the drug and prior to sales associates and commercial ops promoting the drug. The team usually includes several physicians. They are the face of the company when it comes to expertise around science and the clinical trials of the drug. The main goal is not to sell to HCPs, but to educate them. Medical Education Number, ME number. This is a number issued by the American Medical Association. ME numbers are issued when a student enrolls in medical school, and ME numbers remain unchanged throughout a physician's career. And this is another identifying number that's used within sales data within pharma data. National Drug Code, NDC. It's a distinct number assigned to each drug by the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA. The FDA maintains a directory of all the drugs and their detailed information. Drug establishments are required to provide FDA with the current list of all drugs manufactured, prepared, propagated, compounded, or processed for sale. This includes prescription, over-the-counter, active, and inactive drugs. The NDC directory contains information on active and certified finished and unfinished drugs submitted to the FDA in structured product labeling (SPL) electronic listing files by labelers. So basically, this is the repository, the national repository of all the drugs that are out there, and it's a great site to go to see it. The URL is down here. It's accessdata.fda.gov, and it's a searchable online version of the database, and you can also download cuts of the data to do analysis offline. National Provider Identifier, NPI. The NPI number is a unique identifier issued to all healthcare providers, HCPs, and healthcare organizations, HCOs, through the Center for Medicaid and Medicare Services, CMS. It is a unique 10-digit number with no intelligence associated with it. That means it's not a smart number. It doesn't use the first part of the number for a birthday or a last name concatenation. It's simply a unique number assigned by the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services. There is a searchable online directory known as the NPI registry, and the URL is here. NPI numbers are one of the most commonly used identifiers in pharma sales data. These numbers are used to assign HCP and HCP profile information to the underlying prescription sales data and other metrics. New prescriptions, NRX. Data providers, vendors compile data under two categories: new prescriptions and total prescriptions, NRX and TRX. TRX is the total number of scripts of a given product that a healthcare provider writes to their patients. NRX are the number of prescriptions written to new patients to that drug. Putting it another way, TRX is all prescriptions, new and refills. NRX is prescriptions to new patients. New patient is defined as an individual that is receiving a prescription for a specific drug for the first time from that specific HCP. So if a patient is seeing Dr. Johnson and they get a prescription filled for a specific drug, that's a new RX. Now they get a refill from Dr. Johnson, that counts as a TRX, not an NRX anymore because it's a refill. If the patient decides to change doctors and gets the same prescription filled by Dr. Smith, that becomes an NRX for Dr. Smith. When the drug is refilled, it becomes a TRX. No contact flags. Some healthcare providers, HCPs, do not want to be contacted by sales associates or pharma companies in general. There are many types of opt-out flags that may apply to these HCPs. Some HCPs will opt out of marketing communications as well, so no phone calls, no emails, no faxes. Others may opt out of office visits, so they don't want a sales associate going to their office to pitch them their product. Sometimes a sales associate will have their company human resources, HR, opt out of seeing an HCP due to inappropriate behavior. Many HCPs choose to remain on the call list of a sales associate and will briefly meet with them. A major reason is that the HCP will still want to receive product samples from the pharma company. Off-label promotion. Each product that is approved by the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, has a structured product label, SPL. The SPL is actually a lengthy document and not affixed to the prescription bottle. There is, of course, a label on the prescription bottle, but the SPL is another document, a lengthy document. This label includes extensive details about the product, such as active ingredient, approved uses, dosage details, adverse reactions to the drug, etc. If an associate promotes a product to a healthcare provider for an indication that is not on the label, the associate and his or her company open themselves up to legal consequences. Pediatric promotion as an example, if you have a drug with an approved indication for adults aged 18 or older, you as a sales associate would not promote this drug to a pediatrician. One key identifier. IQVIA is one of the largest publishers of pharma sales data. One key is the official identifier that IQVIA uses to track all of the healthcare providers, HCPs, and healthcare organizations, HCOs. One key is used by many pharma companies and is often their main and sometimes only source for identifying their customers. One key is considered a mastered listing of all HCP and HCO profiles. Pharma companies often debate whether it is worthwhile to master their own data or just use one key or another vendor's mastered profiles. Just a quick note again on IQVIA. They've had several names, including IMS Health and Quintiles. Their old identifier was known as IMS number. At the time of this lesson, one key in IMS number still existed in IQVIA's offering. Over-the-counter, OTC, drugs that are available to be purchased by the end customer, patients, without the need of a prescription from a healthcare provider are called OTC drugs. Many OTC drugs were previously products that did require a prescription, such as Advil, Miralax, Motrin, and Tylenol. Patient health information, PHI. This is data that is specific to the patient. This information includes, but is not limited to, demographic information, health history and records, insurance, etc. Patient data needs to be de-identified before it can be used in pharma sales data. Reporting on summary information is fine, as long as the individual patient cannot be identified. Payer plan and PBM. Payers are organizations that process and pay for medical claims. They are commercial, private, and/or government. Plans are the types of insurance programs/plans that offer different levels of coverage, deductibles, referrals, and copays. And some types of plans are managed care, customer-driven, and private. A pharmacy benefits manager, PBM, are third-party companies and contractors that manage prescription drug programs for the insurance plans. And PBMs negotiate with pharma companies and manufacturers to help lower prescription costs. Physician Data Restriction Program, PDRP. PDRP is an American Medical Association program that was started in 2006. This program states that healthcare providers' HCP sales data should be hidden from field and sales associates. This is not a law, but more of a directive. Pharma companies comply with the directive because they do not want issues with purchasing data from providers. HCP data is available to anyone in the home office for the purposes of targeting and tiering, but again, it cannot be shown to the sales associates. The individual HCP data will be counted in summary roll-ups, however. Caution needs to be taken when presenting data to sales associates and district managers so that PDRP data cannot be deduced from the data itself. And here's an example. In territory A1 AAAA, there's 25 total antiviral scripts for the month of March. And here I only have 5 doctors that have written prescriptions. And you'll see 4 of them are not PDRP and 1 of them is. So you have Drs. Smith, Jones, Singh, and Jackson all reporting 20 scripts, but Dr. Anderson wants his data masked. But you can look at this and you can do the math and figure out what Dr. Anderson's number actually is. So you have to go further when you send out a deliverable to make sure that the numbers cannot be resolved or figured out by the field personnel. Physician Payment Sunshine Act, PPSA. It's a 2010 law that requires all pharma companies to disclose payments or transfers of value to healthcare providers, HCPs, or healthcare organizations, HCOs, such as teaching hospitals. Data is collected by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS. This law was developed to protect patients from deceptive prescribing practices through kickbacks and pay-for-play from the pharma companies to the HCPs or HCOs. While paying an HCP influencer or KOL large sums of money for speaking engagements is not illegal, the dollars are still tracked and can be linked back to prescribing behavior. There is a CMS searchable online directory known as Open Payments, and the link is right here, and we'll do a walkthrough of the Open Payments website later on in this course. Samples and chain of custody. Samples are limited quantities of certain pharmaceutical products that are given to healthcare providers, HCPs. Samples are required to have a chain of custody. Sales associates sign documentation acknowledging they receive these samples from their company. Sales associates give these samples to an HCP during an office visit, and the HCP is required to sign for them. The signature is captured through electronic means through your customer relationship management system or on paper. I highlighted or on paper because according to government websites, paper signatures are no longer allowed, but I have heard certain pharma companies are still collecting signatures on paper, so I wanted to leave that in there. Only HCPs can sign for these sample products, not office staff. The individual needs to legally be able to write a prescription in order to sign for these samples. Sales associates are supposed to make a presentation to the healthcare provider, the HCP. The practice of sample dropping is no longer permitted. That's where you show up, hand samples to an HCP, and then leave without making your presentation. State License Number, or SLN. Healthcare providers, HCPs, are licensed to practice medicine by individual states. Many HCPs have SLNs in multiple states because they may practice medicine at hospitals and clinics in various locations. SLN verification and sampleability is extremely important to pharma companies for many reasons. They do not want to waste time targeting an HCP with a marketing campaign if that HCP is not allowed to write prescriptions in a specific jurisdiction. Sales associates should not be giving product samples to HCPs that have their license suspended or revoked. It makes no sense because those HCPs are now no longer allowed to pass them on to the patients, and in addition, if they're not sampleable because they're suspended or revoked, they cannot legally sign for those samples. Structured Product Label, SPL. Each product that is approved by the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, has a structured product label known as the SPL. The SPL is actually a lengthy document and not affixed to the prescription bottle. There is a label on the bottle, but that is not the SPL. SPLs are required from all products produced by pharmaceutical companies, veterinary drug product companies, biologic drug companies, producers of bulk drug products. SPL contains details about the product usage, side effects, dosage, ingredients, and packaging. Targeting, alignment, and call plan. Targeting is the method that pharma companies use to identify the healthcare providers, HCPs, that are going to generate the most revenue for the company. Sales associates cannot call on every HCP, so a subset must be created using data analysis. Alignment is the method that pharma companies use to create sales territories, districts, areas, and regions. These geographical divisions must be created in an efficient and logical manner to make sure that calling on targeted HCPs is done at the lowest cost possible. This is your cost-benefit analysis. A call plan is based on the products that are in the sales associate's bag. The call plan dictates how often to promote a specific product to a specific HCP. Total prescriptions, TRX. Data providers, vendors compile data under two categories: new prescriptions, NRX, total prescriptions, TRX. TRX is the total number of scripts of a given product that a healthcare provider, HCP, writes to their patients. NRX are the number of prescriptions written to new patients for that specific drug. Putting it another way, TRX is all prescriptions, new and refills. NRX is prescriptions to new patients only. New patient is defined as an individual that is receiving a prescription for a specific drug for the first time from that specific healthcare provider. Thank you. This is the end of Lesson 15.